The story starts far from the city, on a hilly road. Clover and her friends were returning home after completing a 2-week road trip. But before heading back, they wanted to visit one last place. A year earlier, Clover's younger sister Melanie had uploaded a video, and after that, she suddenly disappeared. The place where that video was shot stood right before them now, an old shop. The chances were slim, but Clover didn't want to miss any opportunity to find her sister. Megan, who was obsessed with mysterious games, suggested they try a spirit summoning ritual there. Maybe they'd find some clue. The others felt it was a little strange, but they all joined hands and, under Megan's guidance, began the game. Just then, an old van distracted them, and Clover walked straight into the shop. She directly asked the shopkeeper if he had seen the girl in the photo. He denied it, but also said that the girl must have been the victim of some accident. Then he mentioned that recently many people had gone missing, all of them connected to the valley up ahead, Glore Valley. For the first time, Clover had a solid lead. Everyone got into the van and set out toward Glore Valley. On the way, heavy rain began to pour. The driver tried several times to turn the vehicle around, but the road just wouldn't end. Then suddenly the sky ahead appeared completely clear, while behind them it was still pouring heavily, as if some invisible force was separating this place from the rest. That's when Megan noticed graves in the grass, and a sense of dread filled her heart. The other friends, trying to escape the rain, headed toward a large mansion nearby. Clover, however, remained standing where she was. Something about the rain felt unusual to her. She reached out her hand to feel it. Everything seemed normal. Just then, a shadow appeared in the mist, and Clover ran toward it. Her boyfriend Max followed right behind her. Meanwhile, inside the mansion, the others began noticing strange things. At the very center of the hall stood a massive hourglass. Nina saw a register on the table that contained someone's information. In it, she found Clover's sister's name written several times. Megan went toward the bathroom, where the mirror was covered in thick dust, and not a single drop of water dripped from the tap. Aben, who was fond of videography, was capturing everything on his camera. When he entered one of the rooms, he saw several missing posters stuck on the wall. Among them was a photo of Clover's sister. Meanwhile, Clover was still searching for her sister in the rain. Suddenly, someone pulled her back. It was Max. Everyone gathered again inside the mansion and began sharing their strange experiences. Clover said that she had heard her sister's voice. Just then, Nina noticed that the clock had started moving on its own, even though no one had touched it. Outside, loud noises began echoing. When they looked, they saw that their van was being driven away in the rain by some stranger. Terrified, they locked themselves inside the mansion. No network, no help. Now there was only one way left: to solve this mystery themselves. As soon as everyone reached the basement, Max noticed windows carved into the walls, resembling some ancient architectural design. Just then, Clover's panicked voice was heard nearby. She had found a landline phone, but no matter how hard she tried, it wasn't working. Meanwhile, Megan found a walkie-talkie and kept calling out, "Is anyone there? Can you hear us?" Upstairs, Abe and Nina, who were keeping watch, suddenly heard a loud door slam shut. Abe went to check but never returned. Nina sensed something terrible had happened. Slowly, she moved forward in the corridor. When she turned on her torch, the sight before her made her freeze in horror. Abe's body was lying on the floor, cut into 2 pieces. When the others downstairs rushed to the scene, they found Nina too lying in a pool of blood. Max warned everyone that a masked killer had entered the mansion. Panic-stricken, they all scattered and hid. Hearing footsteps, Max grabbed a chair and attacked, but the masked killer didn't even flinch. Instead, he struck back and killed Max on the spot. Megan, trembling, hid inside a wardrobe, watching in fear as the silent figure slowly approached her. From behind a door, Clover, shaking, grabbed a knife and charged forward, but her attack had no effect. It was as if the killer couldn't feel any pain. Clover ran from there and straight into the forest. The moment she saw a familiar shadow and moved closer, that person was killed on the spot. Maybe it was Max. With this, all 5 people had already died. But then, the mansion's hourglass suddenly started turning on its own, and everyone was brought back to the very moment they had entered the room. The only difference this time was that they remembered everything, including their own deaths. Everyone panicked. Their pictures were now hanging on the walls too. Was some supernatural force killing them again and again, only to send them back? Abe decided he couldn't take it anymore. He would escape with the car. Nina didn't agree. She reminded him about the old register in which the same name was written over and over. Maybe this had already happened to many others before them. Just then, a loud bang came from the door outside. When they checked, the door was opening and shutting on its own. Abe and Max together managed to close it, but now the hourglass has started running again. Megan, who could sense spiritual forces, said that something terrible was going to happen tonight. Suddenly, her body began twisting in strange ways, and the bulb above her head burst with a loud crack. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared. When everyone searched for her, she was hanging midair. Her face was grotesquely distorted. Each time she pointed toward her picture on the wall, she made different eerie sounds as if many spirits had taken hold of her. Then a horrifying scream was heard, and her neck twisted unnaturally. She fell to the ground, her breath stopping instantly. Everyone else was stunned. Then again came a loud knocking on the door. Clover's face turned pale. It was her sister's voice. Everyone thought it was a trap, but Max refused to believe it. As soon as Clover opened the door, there was no one outside. But a little further away, a new house appeared, one that hadn't been there before. Wrinkles of worry formed on Clover's forehead. Suddenly, an invisible force lifted her into the air. The rest of the group was forcefully thrown back inside the mansion. Clover tried to pull herself back, but her body kept sliding away. Max ran to save her, but Abe stopped him. It was already too late. If we don't escape now, we won't survive either. Max could no longer wait. He rushed straight to the door and stepped outside. On the other side, Clover regains consciousness inside an old hut. Strange masks are hanging all around. On the TV in front, there's news about an old mind-laughing incident. Beside her, an old man is sitting on a sofa, apparently asleep. Clover quietly tries to slip out, but the door is locked from inside. When she turns back again, the old man is already standing. He mutters, "Either endure this night or become part of it." Then he shoves Clover with all his strength and tightens an oxygen mask over her face. The old man's eyes turn black, and before her very eyes, his body shrivels with age until nothing remains but bones. A sinister smile begins to spread across Clover's face. Outside in the rain, cameraman Abe and his friend Nina try to escape in the car. Ignoring the rest of the group, Abe speeds away. But suddenly, a tall shadow appears ahead. Terrified, Abe swerves the car. Nina tries to get out, but the doors are locked. Suddenly, there's a spray of blood. Abe's neck is slashed off. The masked killer emerges once again. Meanwhile, Max reaches the house where only ashes and bones remain scattered everywhere. Clover looks carefully toward a corner and sees a clown sitting on a swing. When he gets closer, turns out to be just a doll. Enraged, Max kicks it. As he turns around, Clover, now masked, is standing right behind him. The next moment, Max is stabbed. As Clover steps outside, a speeding car runs over her. Everyone dies again. But the story doesn't end there. This time, the group acts more wisely. They lock the door tightly and hide in the bathroom. They recall the words of an old woman. "If you survive the night, everything will be fine." Soon Abe feels thirsty. Megan warns him. There's no water here. But water actually begins to flow from the tap. Having gone the entire day without food or drink, everyone drinks a little, but the wait drags on. Suddenly, Abe starts coughing. He vomits blood, and then his body explodes. Everyone is horrified. Nina tries to clean herself, but her body bursts apart too. Now everyone realizes something was wrong with the water. Megan, who drank the water third, met the same fate. Clover watches everything. She knows that it's going to start all over again. Max's body also melts and turns into blood. In the end, only Clover is left, lying on the bed, waiting for death. But then, someone is seen walking in the room. It's the same shopkeeper. Clover looks at him, and she too dies. The hourglass starts turning again. Everyone comes back to life. But this time, instead of running away, they begin gathering clues. Clover learns the shopkeeper's real identity from a file. He is actually a psychologist. Meanwhile, the others discover a shocking truth, that this place used to be a very busy city. But due to mining, the entire town collapsed underground. Thousands of people died in an instant. In the basement of the house, Max suddenly sees an old window-like passage, and then realizes that all this is part of Dr. Hill's plan. Abe, on the other hand, opens an old room where he finds a dark tunnel. He feels a bit of cold air and quickly shuts the door. But his curiosity doesn't let him stop. He finds an old video cassette. When he plays it, it contains a recording of one of Dr. Hill's cruel psychological experiments. How a survivor was locked in a dark cell, constantly subjected to fear and despair until he was mentally broken. In just 13 days, he transformed into a creature. Everyone realizes the same thing is happening to them too. Clover immediately says, "We don't need to escape. We need to end Hill." Just then, a heavy voice comes through the walkie-talkie. "Clover, you turned out to be the smartest. If you want to see me, come alone into the forest." Without wasting any time, Clover runs outside. The others want to follow her, but Abe stops them. "Didn't you hear? Only Clover was called." Abe says, "If we die, we'll come back again anyway." And he takes Megan along to secretly follow. Clover is now in the forest. Silence and darkness all around. Suddenly, her foot gets caught in a hunting trap. Screaming in pain, she sees that the trap is chained with iron. In the very next moment, an invisible force drags her into the darkness. Meanwhile, hiding inside the house, Abe and Nina once again run into the masked killer, and their fate is already sealed. In the forest, Max and Megan come across an old house, half buried in the ground. Suddenly, they hear some noises from behind. Both of them hide behind a tree. Out of nowhere, a sticky substance drips from above, and a terrifying creature appears. Max and Megan run for their lives, but Megan slips and falls onto a glass roof. Even the slightest movement could shatter it. Max tries to help her, but a demon arrives and drags Megan away. Elsewhere, Clover is still alive, and by luck, Max manages to find her. As he tries to untie the trap she is caught in, another horrifying creature emerges from the darkness. Max quickly unties the trap and catches the creature in it instead. But then Clover is shocked. Looking at the creature's clothes, she realizes it was her younger sister. Both Clover and Max hide inside a protective grill. Clover is shattered inside. All of their friends are dead, and only Dr. Hill is still alive. Clover says, "We have to try again." Picking up a glass crutch, she tells Max to kill her. With a heavy heart, Max obeys her. Just then, another demon appears. Summoning courage, Max runs outside, and while running, he drinks a few drops of rainwater. The very next moment, his body bursts apart, turning into a fountain of blood. That's when they realize, even the rainwater here is cursed. But then, the story resets again. Everyone is alive once more. Now wiser and more cautious, their faces turn pale when they notice the strange marks that have surfaced along their spines. Clover flips through the register and is shocked. They have already survived 13 nights. Yakon here. According to an old video recording, this is their final chance. If they fail this time, they themselves will turn into demons and become part of the darkness. But the strange thing was, they only remembered dying 4 times. Clearly, some of their memories were missing. Then Abe notices a mobile phone. It contains clips of their other deaths. Some attacked by an unknown parasite, some killed by a death-like demon wearing a black veil. The ways they had died were so terrifying that anyone watching would be left trembling in horror. In the final clip, that mysterious Hill is seen opening a heavy door and entering a tunnel. Then Clover's friend, Megan, briefly appears on screen. She is shown going into that tunnel, perhaps searching for some clue. Everyone realizes that Megan is truly missing. This is their last chance. Running away makes no sense now. There is only one option left: to find Megan and finish that hill. They all move through the dark, narrow path and reach a desolate settlement. Broken, crumbling buildings stand all around. Just then, Megan spots a strange creature in the distance. She signals everyone to stay quiet. But suddenly, another demon leaps out in front of them. Chaos breaks out in an instant. Because of the noise, more demons gather. Somehow, they manage to close a tunnel door and escape. But then, the masked killer smashes through the glass and enters. Max, Abe, and Megan push Nina ahead to safety and decide to fight the killer themselves. Clover runs in panic and stumbles over a sharp rock that nearly slices her. Somehow she steadies herself, and as soon as she gets up, she sees a terrifying figure that looks just like her sister. Clover stares into its eyes, perhaps trying to make it recognize her. But when nothing works, she shoves it hard. The creature falls directly onto a rock and is knocked unconscious. Meanwhile, the 3 boys face the masked killer, but this time, they have sworn not to give up. Working together, they finally defeat the murderer. Clover, dodging several demons, reaches a room where Megan is found imprisoned. Nearby, another creature is chained up. It becomes clear that the psychiatrist wanted to intensify Megan's fears to create something horrific. Clover starts searching around for a key. She eventually finds herself in a control room where she sees her own description lying on a desk. Just then, Hill enters through the door. He explains that all these horrifying things are the real forms of human fear. He says that the pain of those who died in that mining accident is what fuels this nightmare-like world. After saying this, he sets a cup of coffee on the table, unaware that water is dripping from the ceiling above. Clover understands immediately. She quietly slides the cup under the stream of water. The unsuspecting Dr. Hill takes another sip of coffee, but within seconds, his body starts convulsing. Clover quickly pushes him, and he bursts into a fountain of blood. She instantly grabs the key from his pocket, unlocks the lab door, and rescues Megan before the demon can break free. Meanwhile, Max and the others are frantically running, trying to escape the terrifying creature. Luckily, the building's maze-like corridors give them chances to hide and slip away. They push themselves to the limit, and finally, at the last turn, they manage to escape outside. At that very moment, the last grain of sand falls from the hourglass, and the first ray of sunlight appears from behind the hills. Raindrops clinging to the winding paths slowly begin to dry. It was a clear sign they had finally freed themselves from that nightmarish world. Exhausted but smiling, everyone climbs into the Jeep. But as they drive past the place, their faces appear once again on a mysterious CCTV screen. And that's where the mysterious story of Until Dawn comes to an end. Let me know your thoughts. Also subscribe to this channel for more horror stories like this.